Hey guys, so today I'm finally going to be doing my Rainbow Six Siege tier list. A lot of you guys have been asking me to do this, and I just want to mention that my mic might sound a little bit weird. It's the same mic I use on my PlayStation, but for some reason it doesn't sound as good when I do recording on my laptop. Anyways, I've also partnered with Woop E-sports. You can find a link to their Discord server and their merch store in the description. I've also added them to my channel about page. And yeah, we have like a full-on partnership going on now, which is pretty cool. I have been announcing that in the Discord server, which you can also find in the description of this video. Anyways, let's just hop straight into this, and I'm going to be ranking every operator in the game all the way up to FLORES. And I have played with every operator, so I have gotten, to use them all, and I know which ones I like and which ones I don't like. It's all going to be my personal opinion, so don't freak out if, my opinions are way different than yours. And I'm not going to be doing this based on what other people think. This is going to be all how I would judge these operators, based on their abilities, their weapons, all that stuff. So yeah. So I guess we'll just start moving along the list that's already been set up here. I didn't make this tier list, just a disclaimer. This is on a free website called Tiermaker, and people can set up like these tier lists. And basically, you just get these small pictures and you rank them. And you can have different rankings. I think 5 is enough for what I want here, from D to S. D being the worst, S tier would be the best operators. So anyways, first up we have Ying. Now, Ying is an interesting operator. I don't play her that often. When I do play with her, I usually perform very well. She has pretty good guns. Her ability is really good. It's kind of like Fuse, but instead of explosives, she uses like flash grenades. And unlike Fuse, she's actually able to throw hers as a grenade, and it can like roll across the floor. So honestly, I think Ying is going to go straight in S tier. Let's do it. So next up we have Blackbeard. And Blackbeard has always been one of my favorite operators, but one thing about him, they're always nerfing Blackbeard since he's came out. Now his shield only has like 20 health, I think. His guns do less damage and everything, but they are still both pretty good, especially his DMR. So I think we're going to put Blackbeard in B tier, just because he probably would have been in A or S, but he's been nerfed so much. I think we'll put him in the middle. That seems fair. So next up we have Doc. Doc has always been a pretty popular operator. He's a combat medic for the defenders. Basically, he has like this stim gun that he can use to revive himself, revive his teammates, or heal his teammates, or even give them a small health boost. So he's pretty useful, but from my experience, I can never do too good with him. He's got some decent guns, but yeah, he doesn't really fit my playstyle, so in my opinion, I'm going to put him in C tier. Next up, we have Alibi. Alibi has actually always been one of my favorites. She's a really good operator. She has these like clones that you can set up, and it looks like her, so you can set them up at windows and doors, and if the attackers shoot it, then they get scanned, which I think is really useful. So I gotta say, Alibi is going straight to S tier. Always been one of the best. So Dokabi is another one of those operators that I don't use very often, but when I do use her, she seems really good. She's able to call the defenders' phones, so their phones are ringing and you can hear where they are if they're nearby. Plus, you can pick up their phones from their dead bodies and look at their cameras, which is also really useful. So we'll put Dokabi in A tier. And I think Thatcher is going to join Blackbeard in B tier. I don't play with Thatcher that much, but he has these EMP grenades that will actually take the reticles off of the defender's gun scopes, and he also shuts off all kinds of electronics and stuff like that. Very useful for helping out your teammates when you're attacking. We also have Capitao here. I think he's going to join Dokabi in A tier. Capitao has a pretty awesome LMG, and his ability is really cool because it can do two different things. He has a crossbow. It can either shoot like a flaming crossbow that sets a fire, or it can be like a smoke grenade. So you can use the smoke for cover, or you can use the fire to push a defender out of a camping spot. or something like that. So we'll put him in A tier as well. Alright, next up is Mira. Mira is a very interesting defender. She's able to set up these windows basically that you can punch into reinforced walls or unreinforced walls, and you can see the enemies through it, and they can't see you. It's actually just black, so you don't even have to be standing there. They won't know if you're there or not. And there's a little canister. If you punch it or shoot it, then it'll open up, and then you can shoot at them. You can also have an unreinforced wall beside you, and then you can make a hole there and shoot at them through that as well. So Mira's a pretty good defender. We're going to put her in B tier. And I think Buck is going to join Dokabi and Capitao in A tier. Buck is pretty straightforward. He has a shotgun underbarrel on his main gun, whether you use his assault rifle or his DMR, and it's really good for breaching soft surfaces, and you can even use it to take out enemies, so you can't really go wrong with Buck. Next up is Glaz. Now, I'm sorry, Glaz fans, but I'm going to have to put him in D tier. I usually do really bad with Glaz. He's pretty interesting because he has this like sniper rifle or DMR, whatever you want to call it. It's semi-automatic, and he can zoom in pretty far with it. But it like if you're standing still and you lock onto somebody, then it like you can see them through smoke and stuff like that. You can use like smoke grenades. So it's pretty interesting, but it's not really that useful, and I just do really bad with Glaz, so he's going to be our first D tier for today. Okay, so next I think we have one of the most hated operators in the game, and that is Clash. Clash is the only defender with a full body shield, so if the attackers are shooting at her, they won't be able to kill her at all when she has her shield out. If they're up close, she's able to electrify them with the shield, which slowly damages them, and her secondary is an SMG, which she can quickly pull out and do some serious damage with. So I usually don't do that good with Clash. I'm going to put her in C tier, but it could definitely vary depending on how good you are with her. I think a lot of people will put her in the bottom tier just because of how annoying she is, but I want to make this ranking very honest and considering how well I play with each of these operators. So for me, Clash is going to go in C tier. I think Montang is also going to go in C tier. He's similar to Clash. He has a full body shield, but he's on attack. So it's good if you've like planted the diffuser or something and then you can hide in the corner, but there are ways to take him out with explosives and stuff like that. So we'll put Montang in C tier as well. Next we have Maestro. Maestro's pretty good. Not as good as Alibi. He came from the same operation as her, but he has these cameras that you can set up. He only has 2 of them, but you can put them basically anywhere. And you can actually open up the cameras and shoot at the enemies. I'm pretty sure it does 5 damage per shot, and it is fully automatic, so he can actually get kills with his camera, which is cool. But when he's shooting, they can also shoot back and destroy it. Otherwise, they would have to use an explosive. So we'll put Maestro in A tier. Next up, we have Maverick. I think Maverick is also going to go in A tier. Maverick is one of the only operators that's able to breach through electrified reinforced walls because he has this blowtorch that can burn through metal. So you can't make like a large hole to go through, but you can make a small hole that you can actually shoot through, and you can even shoot gadgets and stuff like that through the hole that you've made. So Maverick will join A tier. Okay, everything is looking pretty good so far. For Nomad, I think we're going to put Nomad in B tier. She can be really good. I'm not the best with her, but what's interesting about Nomad is she has these air jabs. It's an underbarrel that goes on her primary gun. You can shoot them, and they attach onto doorways and stuff like that. And then if a defender goes through the proximity, then it will actually blast them. And I'm pretty sure they can go through walls now. That was a buff they gave her not too long ago. So yeah, she's pretty useful. It's really funny watching the defenders like flying through the air, but she's not that great. So we'll put her in B tier. I think Valkyrie's also going to go in B tier. Valkyrie is really simple. She just has these cameras that she can throw around, and they have pretty fast sensitivity, nice clear picture quality, and they're good for scanning and figuring out where the attackers are. So she'll go in B tier as well. Frost, I'm going to put in S tier. Some people think Frost is really bad because her gadget is this giant bear trap that's super easy to see, but if somebody gets caught in that, then they are downed, and it can only be saved if someone revives them. Otherwise, Frost or one of her teammates will come and kill them when they're trapped and they can't do anything. And I find Frost just really good. She has a deployable shield, which you can set up at doorways. You can put the trap behind that, or you can put it at windows. She also has an amazing shotgun and a pretty good SMG as well. So Frost is going to go straight to S tier for me. Let's do Twitch here as well. I think Twitch is going to go in C tier. She's alright. She has this drone that can zap gadgets, so she can destroy them or disable them temporarily. And she doesn't do that much damage. If you want to try shooting a defender, it only does 1 damage per hit. But she does have infinite shots, but it's definitely more useful for taking out gadgets and stuff. Now we have one of the most least popular operators in the game, Gridlock. I feel like Gridlock is not played that often at all. She seems kind of useful, but I don't know. She's not the greatest. I think it's safe to say we're putting her in D tier with Glaz. She has like this thing that you throw on the ground. It makes a lot of noise, and the defenders can easily destroy it just by shooting it. But it sets up all these traps on the ground, and it'll actually slow defenders down and damage them as well. So it can be good, but it's pretty easy to counter her. Let's do Pulse here as well. I'm going to put Pulse in B tier. He used to be one of my favorites. He has some decent guns, and he has this scanner that shows the heartbeat of attackers through walls, even walls that you can't even breach or shoot through. But it only works up close. You can't do it across the whole map or anything. So he's alright. We'll put him in B tier. Alright, so I think Lion is going to go straight to A tier. He's always been one of my favorite operators. But if your defenders are smart enough, then they're going to know how to counter his ability. Basically, he sets up a scanner. It warns the defenders quickly before it's about to happen. But if any of them are moving, like walking around, or even like crawling, crouching, sprinting, anything besides just like turning their head, and then it will scan them and it'll show where they are on the map. So it's really good if there's roamers that are running around, you can figure out where they are. He's also got really good guns, but he's not that good, so we'll put Lion in A tier, but he is one of my favorites. Tachanka actually just got reworked like 2 seasons ago. He used to have this turret that he could set up that was stationary, so he couldn't move, but it was very good. Now he can actually walk around with that turret as his primary weapon, and his ability now is a grenade launcher that shoots like these incendiary grenades that explode with fire, kind of like Capitao. But I was never too good with Tachanka. I think I'll still put him in B tier though. Yeah, we'll put him in B. Zofia is definitely going to get A tier. She has this gun, and kind of like Capitao as well, she actually has a gadget that, yeah, it's like a launcher. It shoots like these impact breach rounds on soft surfaces, and it can also shoot these like concussion grenades. So you can concuss enemies, you can blow them up, or you can blow holes in the wall. She's very versatile, so she'll get A tier. Kade is also going to get A tier. We have a lot of A tier operators here. A lot of operators that are really good, but just don't make it to S. If you asked me about Kade quite a while ago, back when I was maining him, I probably would have put him in S tier. Now I'll put him in A. But he's got some pretty good guns, and his ability is just really good. He's basically just a better version of Bandit. He can actually electrify up to like 6 walls, because he has this thing that you throw, and it can actually cover 3 walls as long as they're not too wide. And he has 2 of those, so he can actually electrify 6 reinforced walls when Bandit can only do 4. He can also electrify a bunch of other things as well, like shields, barbed wire, as long as it's all in the radius of his gadget. So Kade will get A tier. Mute, we're going to give C tier. I was never that good with Mute, and it's kind of slow to get his gadget set up, but it's good for blocking drones, especially FLORES, and if you put it up against walls, it can also stop breachers and fuse and other operators like that. So mute will get C tier. Okay, so it looks like we're about halfway through here. Next up we have Thermite. Thermite's always been a pretty straightforward operator. I think I'm actually going to put him in C tier as well, because he has this breach charge. I'm pretty sure he has 2 of them. He can set them up and they just blow a giant hole in a reinforced wall. But that's about it. He has to get up close and actually plant it. It does take a while to explode and for him to set up. And he only has 2 of them, so we're going to put Thermite in C tier. Next up we have Habana. Habana is basically just a better version of Thermite. She has a launcher that can actually shoot these little devices. I don't know. They look like fidget spinners, kind of, as this diagram here shows. But yeah, she'll get A tier. And her little fidget spinners, we'll call them, they create holes and reinforced walls. And she actually got reworked recently. Now you can customize how many of these devices you will actually want to shoot out of her gun, anywhere from 2 to 6, and that'll change the size of the hole that you're putting in the wall. So it's kind of like a window version of Thermite. Thermite creates a door, Habana creates windows. Rook, we're going to give C tier. Rook is pretty good. He sets up armor, so you can't really go wrong with him. He's really easy to use. You just put down a box of armor on the ground and all your teammates can pick it up and they all take reduced damage. And he actually got a buff where his armor will help people out against Kali. Kali's an attacker that has a sniper that will actually take 2 shots now. If you're wearing Rook armor, I'm pretty sure it takes 2 shots to die from Kali. So the Rook armor will save you. We're going to put him in C. Ashe, we're going to give B tier. A lot of people will probably put Ashe in A tier or S tier because she has a small hitbox, she's a very fast operator, and she has a pretty straightforward ability. She can only breach soft walls, kind of like Thermite, but Thermite can do hard walls, but Ashe doesn't need to go up and plant it. She can shoot hers out of a launcher, it embeds into the wall and then it blows up. She can also use it to damage defenders as well, so we'll put Ashe in B tier. She's a good rush operator. Alright, so next up we have Bandit. Now this is going to be quite controversial, but I'm going to put Bandit in C tier, just because Kade, in my opinion, is way better. I know a lot of people love Bandit because of his gun, the MP7, which is pretty good, but you know, that's what brings him up to a C tier for me, honestly, because his gadget it's slow to set up, it's not as good as Kade, and overall I just don't play that. I don't play him that much, and when I do play him, I don't do very good, so he's going to get C. Next we have Ella. Ella's going to go in B tier. Basically, Ella has a shotgun that she can roam with. It's really good. It's really fast. You don't even need to zoom in. You can just hip fire it. And so she's a pretty good roam operator. And she has these little gadgets that she can set up that will concuss enemies, kind of like what Sophia can do. So yeah, pretty straightforward. We'll put her in B. Sledge is going to get A tier. Sledge has this hammer that he can use to break walls. He can only break non-reinforced walls, but his hammer is basically infinite. Like, it doesn't run out of uses. I think it has to recharge every once in a while, but he can just keep smashing through windows, barricades, walls, as long as they're not reinforced. So yeah, I think Sledge is going to go in A tier. We're going to put Echo in B tier. Echo is another one of those hated operators. He always gets banned in ranked and unranked. But he has this drone. He actually has 2 of them. They used to be cloaked. Apparently they're not cloaked anymore. But you can fly around on these drones. You can actually fly them up to attach to the ceiling. You can scan attackers, and you can concuss them. It shoots out like a blast that will distract them. It can also cancel them defusing the bomb. So Echo is pretty good. We'll put him in B. Next up we have Castle. It's debatable for me whether I want to put Castle in D or C. Overall, he's not the best operator. He has like these bulletproof panels that he can put up instead of barricades. He only has 3 of them, but they're pretty useful because attackers won't be able to just shoot through it. You can actually break them just by punching them or shooting them, but it takes a lot. It's better to breach them somehow. But honestly, I'm going to put Castle in D tier. He just really isn't that useful at all. So he's going in D. Looks like we have another A tier, Vigil. Vigil's a great roaming operator. He can actually turn himself invisible to drones. There's an indication that comes up on their screen to show when Vigil is nearby. But yeah, he can't be scanned or anything when he goes in his invisible mode. He's not invisible to attackers. They can see him, you know, clear as day. But for drones and cameras, he can go invisible, which is really cool. And he has some pretty good guns as well. He has a shotgun with an ACOG scope on it, so can't really go wrong with that. Alright, next up we have another A tier operator, Smoke. Smoke is really cool. Pretty simple and straightforward. He's got these gadgets that he can throw that will expel poisonous gas. So you have to be careful because you can actually damage your own teammates with the gas. But of course it can push attackers out of certain rooms that you don't want them in, or blocking them from entering a certain room. And he has an incredible shotgun, pretty good SMG, and overall just a really good operator. So Smoke is going to join A. I'm going to put Mozzie in B tier. Mozzie is slightly better than Mute. He's good for stopping drones, and what's cool about him is he actually has this launcher that's much faster than Mute's jammers, which have to be placed down on the ground. He only has 3 shots, but once you take over a drone, then you're actually able to use it. So you can actually drive around on the drone and scan attackers. So Mozzie will get B tier. Fuse has always been one of my favorites. I'm debating if I should put Fuse in S tier or A tier, because he is a really good operator. He has the AK-12, which is a great assault rifle. He has a really good LMG, and he has a shield, which I feel like a lot of people forget about. Everyone makes fun of Shield Fuse. It's actually one of my favorite loadouts. He has this pistol. I just call it the Gush pistol. I think it's GHSH. FLORES has it now, I believe, too. It's a very fast pistol. It's easy to use, great accuracy and recoil, and it's got 18 rounds. It's perfect with his shield, and I find it's just very good. Plus, he has 4 gadgets that he can use. You put them up on a unreinforced wall or barricade, and you pump the room full of grenades. Super fun operator to use. He can even do it on wooden floors and stuff like that, just above the objective room. You gotta be careful though if you're playing on hostage game mode. That's always a danger. But honestly, Fuse is going in S tier. Next up we have Blitz. Blitz, I think I'm going to put in B tier. Another shield operator. Unlike Fuse though, his shield is his only primary weapon he's able to use, like Montang. But what's cool about his shield is he's able to like flash it, so it'll blind defenders and you can run at them. Pretty decent pistol, and you can melee them as well. So Blitz will get B tier. Next is Finka. I think Finka is actually going to get A tier. She is kind of similar to Doc, except she can affect the entire team. She can give the whole team a health boost. She can revive her whole team if they're all downed at once, which is super cool. It's called the adrenaline boost. I think it has some other effects as well, but mainly the healing and the reviving is what's really good. So Finka will get A tier. Honestly, just a better version of Doc, and she's on attack. Next we have Jaeger. Jaeger's not one of my favorites. He's pretty alright. He's got these gadgets that will actually, they destroy enemy projectiles, not bullets, but Capitao's arrows, you know, breaching shots from Ash or people like that. Basically, like any type of grenade or anything that's coming into the room, it'll get destroyed by Jaeger's gadget. But he's not my favorite, so he's going to get C tier. A lot of people might put him a lot higher. Okay, so we're getting pretty close to the end here. Next up we have Cavera. Cavera is a pretty cool operator. I like her, but I don't usually play too good with her. I'm going to put her in B tier. For how I play with her, I should be putting her in C. But in general terms of how she plays, I'd put her in A. So I think we'll go in between and put her in B. Basically, she has an ability that makes her silent so she can run around the map without making very much noise at all. She has a silenced pistol. It's only a 2-shot. It'll down the operator every time as long as you get them in the body. And then she's able to interrogate. And if she interrogates an attacker when none of his friends are around, once she's downed him, you get the kill, and then it scans where all of the attackers are and what operator they're using. So it's kind of hard for me to get that to work, but when it does, it's amazing and it's extremely useful. So Cavera is going to go in B. Next up, we have my main right now for defense, Legion. I love Legion so much. He's got my favorite gun in the entire game, the T5 SMG. Malusi used to have it, and then they gave hers to Oryx for some reason. But Legion still has his. He's the original owner of the T5. It's just an incredible SMG, and his ability is so good as well. He throws these little needles down on the ground, and when an attacker steps in it, then it gets stuck in their ankle, and they have to take time to actually pull it out when you can shoot them. If they don't pull it out, their health will start draining, and it can actually down them and then eventually kill them. So it's he's just an incredible operator. He's going to get S tier for sure. Next we have IQ. IQ is actually going to put our B tier on a second row here, right? Yep, stretching this out now. IQ is pretty straightforward as well. She has this little device on her wrist that will show you where electronics are. I think she does have a range, but you can actually see things pretty far and through all walls. So it's quite useful, but it only shows you where the bomb is and I think the biohazard as well, and any like gadgets that are nearby. Let's do Capkin too. Capkin is pretty interesting. He puts these little traps on doorways and windows, and they will explode if someone crosses the little laser. So there's a little, like, it's like a booby trap, like a little laser, and if an attacker walks through that, then the trap will explode. I don't think it can kill them unless they're already damaged. It just does like 60 damage or something. If they're going through a window, then it might down them. I don't know for sure, but it's good for finishing off attackers that are low on health or just doing a bunch of damage to them to begin with. So Capkin will get B tier. So next up we have Jackal. Jackal is just a really good operator. He gets banned all the time in ranked because no one wants to play against him. Basically, he's able to scan footprints on the ground from defenders, and it actually changes in color based on how long ago they were in that area. So if the footprints are red, that means the defender was just there. And he's actually able to take some time to scan the footprints, and if he can successfully do that, it'll actually show you exactly where that defender is hiding. So Jackal is going to go in A tier. If I played with him a little bit more, I would probably put him in S tier, but he'll get A for me. Next we have Warden. Warden's going to be quite controversial because, in my opinion, he has the worst ability out of anyone. But Warden has really incredible guns. His SMG, his shotgun, and even his pistol are all amazing. Plus he has nitro cells, so he's got one of the best loadouts, in my opinion, for defense. But his ability is really bad. All it does is blocks him from getting flashed, and he can see through smoke, but he can't move, and it has a limited timer as well. I feel like he needs a buff. Either let him move while he's doing it so he doesn't have to stand still, or so that it doesn't run out, and it's infinite at least. So because his ability is so bad, he's going to get C tier, but the only thing that's keeping him out of D is his loadout, because it's so good. Next up we have Nook. I think Nook is safe to say we're going to put her in A tier. She has this ability that's kind of like a mixture of Cavera and Legion. She makes herself quieter, she becomes invisible on cameras, and I believe they actually just buffed her, and now certain traps will not activate even if she's in the proximity when her ability is on. So Nook is definitely getting A tier. Wamai, I think I'm going to put Wamai in C tier. He's kind of like Jaeger, but instead of destroying the projectile or gadget, his magnets which he can throw all over the place. They recharge like Legion's little goo mines. But they're magnets that will pull the projectile in, and then it will still activate. So you can use it against the attackers. But overall, I feel like it doesn't come into use that often, and his loadout isn't the greatest. So we'll put Wamai in C. Next we have Amaru or Amaru, however you want to say it. Most people say Amaru, but I feel like Amaru is the proper way to say it. I think I remember a game developer saying that. But yeah, whatever you want to call her, she's a pretty good attacker. They actually buffed her not too long ago, so she's even better now. I think before I would have put her in either C or D, but I think Amaru/Amaru is going to get B tier because she has this grapple hook that can launch her straight through windows or up on ledges very quickly, and she's able to react quickly as soon as she comes through a window. She has a pretty awesome shotgun and a good LMG too, so we will put her in B. Next up is Callie. Callie was really cool when she first came out, but I never do that good with her. I think honestly I'm going to put Callie in C tier. I don't really like her gadget. Some people say her gadget's really good. It's kind of like Ashe. She shoots a little breaching charge through reinforced walls, but it doesn't actually make a hole. All it does is destroy gadgets on the other side. I'd say the main feature of Callie is her anti-material rifle. She's the only operator in the game with any gun like that. She's able to one-shot 3 speeds. She can instant down 2 speeds, and I think it's the same thing for 1 speeds as well, unless anyone is wearing Rook armor. I think even for 3 speeds, it'll take a second shot if they're wearing Rook armor. I don't know about that for sure, but she does have a very high damage sniper that can also shoot through multiple unreinforced walls. So Callie will get C tier for me. Next we have Goyo. Goyo's going to go straight to the D tier. He already was a really bad operator, and not too long ago they actually nerfed him. I don't know why. They nerfed his shotgun and they took away one of his shields. All he has are these 2 deployable shields that have a gas canister on the other side, so if you shoot at it, it'll explode into flames. Overall, it's not that useful at all. I feel like I kill my teammates more often than I kill the enemies, and yeah, he's just straight to D tier. He is getting a rework soon, so hopefully Goyo can be saved. Alright, so right at the end of our list here we have all of our newer operators from year 5 and year 6, including FLORES. So let's do Oryx first. I think I'll put Oryx in B tier. He has the T5 SMG now, which of course is my favorite gun, and his ability is pretty cool too. He's able to run through walls and stuff as long as they're unreinforced. He just literally runs through the wall, and he can also knock down shield operators, stuff like that. I feel like I don't do very good with him, but we'll put Oryx in B. Next we have Iana. Some people call her Iana. I'm pretty sure Iana is the right way to say it. She has a very good assault rifle, a very good ability, kind of like Alibi, but instead of a stationary clone that she's able to set up, hers can move around and act as a drone. So you can run around with it and you can scan people, and the defenders will usually always think that it's the real Iana and they'll shoot at it. And up until that point, you're able to scan them, and it's also a good way to distract them as well. So Iana will get A tier for me. Next we have Ace. Ace is an interesting one. Back when Ace came out in Operation Steelwave, I would have put him straight in S tier. But Ace has actually been nerfed quite a bit. His gadget, I think he still has 3 of them. You throw it onto a reinforced wall, and it slowly folds down and blows open holes. It used to do it 3 times, and now it only does it twice. And he no longer has an ACOG on his AK-12, which I used to love. Now he just has the 2-time scope. So honestly, those together are going to bring him down to B for me. Ace and B tier. Melusi will get A tier. Melusi is still pretty good. Back when Melusi and Ace both came out, they would have both been in S tier for me. They've both been heavily nerfed, and Melusi's gadget's pretty straightforward. I think they're actually changing it again, but she sets it up on walls around the floor, and it'll make this loud buzzing noise that will actually slow down the attackers. So it's quite good. She doesn't even have the T5 SMG anymore. Now she has the MP5, which I don't like as much. So we'll still give her an A tier. Next we have Zero. Zero is also going to get an A tier. His gadget is very useful. You just shoot it onto barricades and unreinforced walls. You can actually look through both sides of a wall or a barricade. It has one little projectile that you can shoot to destroy gadgets, and you can scan enemies as well. And I believe he has 4 of those. So Zero will get A tier. Rooney, I think we're also going to put in A tier, which is going to make our A tier larger than our B tier section. Rooney is pretty awesome. She has I think it's called a Surya gate. She sets it up through her arm. She shoots a little projectile out of her wrist that will attach onto door frames and walls, and basically if an attacker tries going through, they'll take damage and it will destroy any gadgets that go through. So we'll put her in A tier as well. Don't think she's been nerfed at all since she came out. Now finally, the moment we've all been waiting for, we have FLORES, the newest operator. He's only been out for 3 weeks, I think. He got Thatcher's AR-33, Blackbeard's SR-25, I believe it's called. He got the Gush pistol that Fuse and all of the other Spetsnaz have. One of my favorite pistols in the game. And his ability, so fun to use. Basically, he has 4 drones. You can't actually move backwards or anything with them. You can only keep moving forwards, but you can steer them around. You can use them to destroy gadgets, anything like barbed wire. You can get tons of points for destroying a ton of stuff. You can actually attach to walls as long as they're soft and breach them, and you can get kills, insta kill, even if they're not even crouching or anything. They could be standing there holding an angle and you can blow them up with this drone. It's also great for campers. So FLORES for me is going to get A tier. And the more I play with him, the more I might start liking him, and maybe he'll be S tier eventually. So we'll put FLORES in A. And there you have it. That is my finished tier list. So just a reminder for you guys, this is all my opinion. I'm pretty sure everyone would have a different tier list if they were rating all the operators. And I have played with all these operators, some more than others. And the ones that I like the least are going to be closer to the bottom, and the ones that I like the most will be at the top in S tier. So yeah, this is my tier list. A is actually our biggest one. I thought that B was going to be my largest, but I guess more operators get A than B. They're both pretty close. We also have a lot in C, and then only 5 operators in S, and 4 in D. Gotta feel bad for those D tier operators. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. Make sure to go check out the links in the description for the Woop E-sports Discord server and their merch store. If you make any purchase through that link, I will get 15% profit. Make sure to join my Discord server. I also have links to my Instagram, my vlog channel, and my Twitch, which is currently inactive, but I'm going to use Twitch as a backup in case anything happens to this channel. And yeah, basically this partnership with Woop Esports has just started, so I've redesigned my about page and all that, and automatically I will be taking that description and putting it in the description of my streams and videos. So yeah, make sure to let me know down in the comments below how you would do this tier list differently, or what you disagree with or what you agree with. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, and I will see you guys all next time. Goodbye.